Hello everyone, and welcome to this Q&A call. Um, in addition to the workshop that we did on Facebook, Instagram, and email marketing, right? Or more generally, social media, email marketing, and how it all comes together to promote your art business, right? And we also talked about content marketing in this workshop. So how all of this content marketing, social media, email marketing, how it needs to be a cohesive, right, strategy. It needs to all come together in a well-thought strategy so that we can implement it in a way that it actually serves your art business without becoming too overwhelming and taking up too much time, right? So we talked about how to create a content calendar, how to spend more time, take a little time for planning so that you spend more time promoting your work, right? So I'm excited to be taking questions from you, and I also have people who email me, so we'll take it from here. So who would like to start? Melody? Okay, great. Go ahead.
Oh, you talked a little bit about visibility last time, and that really hit home for me. And so I just wanted to, talk more about that and flesh that out and get your more.
Absolutely, because like I talked about, visibility and self-sabotage, and I see that all the time, and it was very surprising for me at the beginning. Like I told the story, right? Like how people were paying me to get them visibility, but then when the visibility was showing up, they were hiding, and I was like, what's going on? And it's really through meeting a lot of people that I realized that no, like it's a block, it's difficult, right? And we need to do it step by step. So in your case, Melody, what have you discovered when you said it hit home?
When I what? Sorry.
When you say that it hit home, what did you discover, and how can I support you?
Oh, well, you said, it comes in many different ways, not just, online. So it hit home in that way. But online, I think I have a little bit of a fear of too much exposure in terms of like privacy issues and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And I totally understand that because I can relate personally, actually, because you see a lot of people online who are very aggressive in their way of being visible, and we almost know we feel like we almost know everything about their personal lives because they're so out there. And I really want you all to know that that's really not necessary. Like, just talking about myself personally and seeing what other artists are doing that I know, I'm not someone who, like, I think I posted 2 pictures of my children like in the last 6 years on Facebook. Like, I don't share my personal life. I don't share what I do. I don't keep doing selfies. Like, it's really like, maybe because I'm old and it's really not part of what I'm not used to these things. And it's really not necessary because in my case, it's not part of my brand, right? So I'm in my brand, of course, I talk about like the importance of having a fulfilling business because I have children, and I don't just care about the business, but I care about the overall, how we feel in our business. But it's not part of my brand, the mommy part of me. So I don't feel like I need to constantly share my mommy life because it's not part of my brand. Some artists that I know, it is part of their brand, right? Because they're leaning towards more of a lifestyle brand, and their art and their family is all intertwined. So of course, like some artists, you absolutely know how many children they have, how old they are, what they're doing, what they're feeding them, right? We know everything about that because it's part of their brand. And others, you'll never know, you'll never see their faces because it's not part of their messaging, right? It's not why people are attracted to them. It's not why they want people to be attracted to them, right? So there's no like, you have to do this, right? And I think, Kathy, you sent me an email and you had a question like, what if I don't want to be doing selfies? What if I don't want to be showing my face? And I say, don't. Like, if you don't want to, it's perfectly fine. But I want just you to ask yourself a question. Are you doing it because of fear? Or are you doing it because it's not on, you're not doing it because it's not on brand? Okay? Because then that's where it's going to be like, oh, well, it would be on brand. My audience would enjoy learning about this. Then you need to think about, okay, well, am I willing to push through that fear, right, of what will happen if? Because of course, like, you know, if you look at Facebook, like, when is it that a post gets the most likes, right? When you're changing your profile picture, then everybody will be like, oh, great photo, blah, blah, blah. When your kids has a milestone and you're sharing it, like, of course, like personal things, they build the know, like, trust factors, right? But you can choose how much or how little that you do in relationship to that, right? It doesn't have to be all the time. And I think your privacy is very important. And also, I just want to add to that, that the people that you're seeing that are very visible and telling their story, it's not the real thing. It's edited, okay? Like, we need to stop thinking that what we're seeing on social media, like nobody's kids are like that 24 hours a day. Like, or if they are, then I'm in huge trouble. Like, it's just not like, so everything is curated. Everything you're seeing is curated, and you're allowed to curate what you're putting out there when it's going public to people you don't know. I have one of my colleagues who was doing a live video the other day on visibility on Facebook. And she said, you know, even your your personal profile, you need to think about your brand, because a lot of people who like your page also are will eventually maybe friend you, or you're sharing things from your professional page to your profile. And she's like, if you want to say like silly things on Facebook, if you want to get silly with your close circle, just create another profile for your really close friends where you're silly and you do like, you share more private things, right? Or whatever, just for them, just for that private circle, your friends, your family, things like that. Because yeah, you need to stay on brand, and ask yourself like, okay, well, if I don't want to be visible or I don't want to share something, is it because I'm resistant towards it, or is it because it's just not part of what people are looking for when they're looking for my work? It's a long answer for a short question, but but how does that, like, in your case, what do you think? Do you think that it's more because it's not on brand, or do you think that it's more of a resistance thing?
It's a resistance thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, how about when you're doing your content calendar, choosing, like when we said that, you know, you want to have between 3 and 5 themes, right? 3 and 5 themes that are recurrent, so that people know like what to expect, right? So, and then because it hammers your message. If you have too many themes, if you're talking about too many different things, then people don't know really what you're about. So maybe in your 3 to 5 themes, you want to choose one theme that is maybe more of a personal, but you want to set those boundaries, right? What is it that I'm going to share, right? That's more personal. So you put those boundaries there. Is it more like personal about your family? Is it more personal about your relationship with art? Is it more personal in terms of your relationship with nature? Like, it can be a bunch of things. So set your boundaries, And then maybe set a specific day in the week, right, for your content calendar. So that way you're setting yourself up that you can't really avoid it, right? So every Tuesday, you know that you're going to do something that's a little more personal. You know what your boundaries are in terms of specifics of the kind of things you want to talk about. Then you can brainstorm a bunch of ideas, and then you plug them in your calendar. You can even prepare them in advance, a day that you feel more inspired, or maybe you got your hair done, right? So then that day you're just like, okay, I'm taking a bunch of pictures today. I'm just going to use them over the course of 3 months, but that's fine because today I'm feeling good. Sun's out. I'm going to do pictures. I'm going to write a bunch of captions, and I'll be fine, right? That way there won't be probably as much resistance.
Okay, that's great.
Try
Thank you.
it. Okay. Anything else?
I'll get back to you if you.
Okay, perfect. Great. While we're at it, Kathy, because you had sent me some questions, but you're here, so you're hearing me. That means, yes?
Oh, it's okay. Could you, since I've sent the questions, could you just?
Yeah, of course. I can read them if you like. Okay, so you said the first question. So we answered one of the questions, which were like, well, how do I feel? How do I make it more personal if I feel very awkward, right? Awkward. So posting pictures of myself, will a hand shot suffice? Absolutely, right? We know that when you show your face on an image, you'll get more interaction. We know that. It's a fact, okay? Now it's a decision that you have to make. It doesn't have to be every post, right? But like I said to Melody earlier, maybe there's a day where you're feeling pretty good about yourself, right? So you're like, okay, let's do a few photos. I'll have them if I need them. They're here. But absolutely, you don't have to be constantly showing your face. Absolutely not. One question you had, which I found really good, was I didn't have any clear strategy when I began using social media. Posted irrelevant pictures. That's amongst other things. That's fine. We all do that. Should I go back and edit those posts out, or just leave them and start fresh with my next posting? Start fresh. Okay. There's no, it's like when people ask like, oh, I haven't used hashtags properly. Should I go back and add them to past images? It won't really make a huge difference, right? All the time, like the effort versus the result is not going to give you enough, right? You might as well work on looking forward, okay? Unless you're like Taylor Swift and you're kind of dying and rebirthing, and then like in August, like they deleted all her Instagram and they're starting new, right? But that's different. That's a stunt. That's a publicity stunt, and it's super intelligent to do that, right? So unless you see you have a strategy, unless you say, I'm deleting everything, I'm starting new, I'm doing a stunt like that, I'm doing my coming out as a professional artist, and now this is what you can expect on my feed, then you see that this is a strategy. So the time you're spending on this is valuable and is worth it because you're thinking towards something else, right? But if it's just because like you want to clean up your feed, like within 3 weeks, if you post on a consistent basis, what's on your feed before, people won't even scroll down that much, right? So it depends on what the output is, what the messaging is, but it's really not that necessary. Like I said, unless you have like really like you're doing a stunt or there's really something out to do it. How do you make your social media channels more personal if you feel, oh no, that one you already asked me. Okay. If one is just starting out on Instagram with very little followers, less than 500 followers, would you advise them to switch to a business profile for the analytics, or would this actually be harmful in getting your post to reach more people? If not, at what number would it make sense to switch to a business profile for the analytics? Okay, this is a great example of how Facebook and social media and Instagram can mess with our heads like crazy, okay? Because a month or two ago, not a month, maybe 2 months ago, and that's really depending when you're listening to this, but having a personal or business profile made absolutely no difference in terms of your reach on Instagram. There were only upsides to it because you would get the analytics, you would get the contact button, you would get all of that, right? Now, it's starting to become exactly what you're saying. The personal profile is getting more traction and the business's profile are getting less traction. Why? Because Facebook and Instagram want you to pay for ads, right? So for the analytics, I mean, that's really up to you, because you would want to follow analytics whether you have 500, 1,000, 1,500, right? That I don't think there's a threshold, because you always want to look at your analytics. But at the beginning, you can do it manually, right? You can do it manually because you can look at the results you're getting and you have a good idea. The main reason also, while you eventually might want to transfer to a business account, is if you want to actually get more reach through paid advertising, right? You're going to have a business account to do that. So I don't have a yes or no answer for you. But I mean, if you're getting to the point where you have 500 followers and your goal is to grow, I think having a business account is a good idea, because you can really track what's working, what's not working. But like I said, like if you're savvy and you're kind of yourself keeping track of what you're doing, like there's no reason why you can't do it manually as well, right? Tracking your posts and what kind of interaction you're getting and when you posted and what results you got, right? You don't necessarily need Instagram to do that for you. There's a lot you can do yourself. Yeah. It's not a yes or no answer, unfortunately. Okay. Is there research-backed data on how frequently one must be posting new content on social media, especially Facebook, Instagram, to keep your audience engaged without overdoing it and getting them tired of you? This is separate from a scheduled newsletter with your contacts. Will know when your contacts will know to expect on a weekly, bi-monthly, monthly basis. Okay, so best practices will tell you 2 to 3 times a day on Instagram. Okay, so that's what best practices will say. And then Facebook, I think it's once a day. That for me, like your job is not to be constantly on Instagram, right? So I don't think you need to be on Instagram 2-3 times a day. Absolutely not. Again, it needs to be part of a wider strategy. I see artists who are posting 3 times a week, and it's working really well for them, right? Because they're consistent 3 times a week. People know what to expect, and they use maybe 3 posts a week, and then maybe they'll do another, maybe a daily Instagram stories or something like that, right? Because now, here's the thing, right, is it's not just posting anymore, right? I want you to you need to look at what kind of calendar and time you have, but there's the posting, there's the stories, there's the live Facebook, and then there's the time you're actually spending engaging with people, right? So we don't want to forget to have time to engage on people's post on people's feed, answer questions, reach out, go maybe on other Facebook groups if that's where your audience hangs out, right? So it's really finding that balance between pushing the information out there and also engaging and doing other fun things like live videos that and then like, and the other important thing is keeping track of what's working, because what if you post, because not two audiences are alike. That's why it's difficult for me to give you like a yes, no answer, because no two audiences are alike. I know an artist who does really, really well doing live Facebook videos. Like her audience is on Facebook. She does live videos. Every time she does a live video, she sells. Okay. So for her, it makes sense to do maybe 3 or 4 live videos a week, right? And maybe post on Instagram once or twice a week, because really that's like, she keeps trying different options and she keeps coming back to it because that's really what gives her the results that she wants, right? So when I say that we want to really look at the data and build on what's working, if you feel like you're spending time on Instagram and you're doing live videos on Facebook and whatever you do, you post twice a day, you research your hashtags, you've been doing this for 3 months and your Instagram just isn't growing, right? And then on the other hand, every time you do a Facebook Live, you're growing your audience, you're getting sales, things are working for you. Well, like, slice off some time that you're spending on Instagram, because clearly your people aren't there, right? I'm not saying to cut it off all completely, but maybe you do less of it, or you repurpose content that you already have there, and you scale, you increase your presence doing live videos because that's been working for you. You see, Kathy, how I want you to be thinking? Because like the data is there, you can Google it, you can find it, but no two audiences are alike. And I have another client who, like, her audience is on Instagram, like they're there. Like, so for her, she only uses Facebook as for SEO purposes. She she posts directly from Instagram to Facebook just so that she has a presence there. But really where she puts her time and money and energy is Instagram, because every time she posts, she gets new followers. Every time she makes a sale, things happen there. So it makes sense. So that's why you need to be looking, and don't worry too much about what others are doing, and look at what's working for you, right? So that's really what you need to think about. Okay, when maintaining a newsletter and social media accounts, do you update all channels simultaneously? Or if the channel isn't suitable for the kind of content, do you make a mention of it and include a link to it? I'm not sure, Kathy. I would like you to maybe, I'm going to unmute you. Oops, no, I'm muted. Okay, can you elaborate on that? Because I'm not sure I understand.
Let's say, for example, you have content on Pinterest, like what you were saying, create a gallery wall. Do you mention that in your Facebook page, or since it's not really an appropriate Facebook post, do you just leave it on your Pinterest? Just as an example.
Okay, so, okay, now I get it. So here's the thing. If you post on Pinterest how to create a gallery wall, it's probably referring to something that you have on your website, right? So you probably created a post on your website on how to create a gallery wall, and you use the image on Pinterest, and it's linking back to your website. Am I understanding correctly what you're saying? So,
Yes,
so I don't see why it wouldn't be relevant to share that blog on Facebook, right? And then on your Instagram, you might want to just share that image and a caption that has a call to action to your link in your bio so that people can access that content on your website. Okay, so you're not going to be reposting it exactly the same way because all the channels don't work the same way. But the goal is always the same, to drive traffic to your website. So if you're not repurposing it, you know the 80-20 rule that I was talking about? If you're not repurposing it, then you're missing opportunities to drive traffic to your website. And as a way to repurpose it again and again on Facebook, because How to Create a Gallery Wall is a good example of a evergreen piece, right? Whether you post it in January, July, October, like it's always good, right? It's not like a Christmas related post or a Thanksgiving related or a Halloween post. But then you can change your caption for something that's relevant, right? So like here, and I don't know if it's just Quebec or it's Canada, but July 1st, right, is moving day. Is it moving day across Canada or just in Quebec? July 1st. You know? You don't know.
We don't have that.
So we have a moving day. It's a crazy thing that we do. July 1st, everybody moves. Okay, if you're moving, you move July 1st. So it causes nightmares, but this is how we do it. So a few days after July 1st, it could be relevant to repost How to Create a Gallery Wall. Maybe you just moved in your new house, your new apartment, you're looking to decorate it. Here's a way to do a gallery wall, right? And then later in the year, after the holidays, you say, oh, you've gotten all this fantastic art during the holidays. How do you make it all coming out together? Here's a link to my How to Create a Gallery Wall blog. So it's the same content, but you're repurposing it depending on who you're talking to, which channels you're on, and what's happening at the time that you're repurposing it, right? So that way, so maybe that person wasn't moving in July, so they scrolled and it didn't click. But you're repurposing it later, it's like, oh, wow, yeah, I do have like all this art in my basement. I could create something that's fun, right? And it's like winter and I'm not going outside and let's do it, right? So there's always ways of repurposing it. Don't worry too much about people that have seen it because people don't remember, okay? And I'm hearing that a lot, like I'm worried that I'm gonna bother people. Is it gonna be too much? It's not gonna be too much. Like, unless you're like posting 10 times a day, like it's not too much. There's such a thing as algorithm, like they're keeping you from being seen. So it's pretty rare that it's too much, okay? Because people are not seeing you enough, in my opinion. I think there are more chances that people are not seeing you enough that people are seeing you too much. Okay, that was your last question. Did I answer everything, Kathy? Like anything
Yes,
you need
thank you so
specific?
much.
Anything like you need additional information that I wasn't clear?
Maybe something will occur to me a bit later, but
Okay,
the
perfect.
others can have their chance. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Jennifer, hit me.
I actually don't know if I have a lot of questions. One thing you did say on Wednesday, you mentioned something about doing a soft launch, or no, a soft sale.
Yeah.
What's an example of that
Okay.
versus a hard sale?
Okay, so a soft sale will be maybe directing people to my shop and saying like, I have new works available, check out my shop. Something more as opposed to from Thursday to Friday, this series is discounted 30%, sales ends tonight, this new piece is up for sale. It's $300. Like that would be a soft a hard sell versus a soft sell, which is like, hey, have you been in my shop lately? There's been a bunch of new pieces added. You know, and this is my favorite one. And then you have a picture of your favorite one, right? So it's not really like buy. A hard sell will be like, buy now or you're gonna miss out. You know, this edition of 20, only 2 more left. Like that's like the call to action is very, very sales oriented, where the other one is more maybe to explore or like, I just want to be of service to you. Like if you haven't seen it, there's new stuff there. Like doing a live Facebook where you're talking about, like you're maybe doing live painting or you're showing some works in your studio, what you've been working on, right? That's content. It's soft sale. Like it's not even like soft sale to a certain degree, right? And then you say, well, you know, these 2 I really like, and they're just finished, and they're in my shop, and blah, blah, blah. Like you're having a conversation, soft sale. But then if you're doing a Facebook Live and it's like, okay, it's the end of my prints sale tonight, so I'm here to show you all my prints, answer all your questions about prints, because this is your last chance, okay? Well, that's a hard sell.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
And, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I don't, like I said, I don't really have questions because I'm just trying to think, like with my Instagram, I'm having a hard time building up my followers. Like my engagement has improved over the past like month or so, but people will start to follow me and fall off, which is fine because I realize they're not going to buy.
No, they're like just following to get a follow. Yeah.
So
very frustrating, but it's part of the game. Yeah.
Right. So I know I need to just go back and analyze.
Yeah. But I would say, Jennifer, like in my experience, the artists that have substantially grown their Instagram in a quite a quick way, it's across the board. What I'm seeing, it's through partnerships and shootouts, right? That's really like over time, the hashtag thing can work. But it takes more time. It's organic, right? So it takes a lot of time. You have to do it. For some people, it works easier than others. Some industries work better than others. But really partnering up and let's say doing a giveaway and including like people who have a big following and offering them a gift or an opportunity to give a gift to their audience, like doing a win-win partnership with people who have a big following or not. And you can start people who don't have necessarily a big following. You need to look at engagement, okay? Because, you know, I talked about vanity metrics. So another example, I was with a client yesterday and she said, these people want to give me a shootout and it's going to cost me $20. She said, you know what? $20, not a big deal. I think I'll do it. What do you think? So we went on this account and they had almost 200,000 followers. So my first reaction was like, absolutely. Like, you want to shoot out from them. This is great. And then I started looking at their feed and I said, wait a second. Because I clicked on all the artists that they did shootouts for and there was zero engagement. So they had maybe 200,000 followers, but they had maybe for each post 5 likes, 8 likes, 1 comment. And I was like, this isn't normal algorithm stuff. Like that means that their followers are bought, right? They bought followers. And so they're either fake followers or they're not interested in art at all because they're not engaging with the content. So even if they give you a shootout, it's not going to give you results, right? So you're better off partnering with someone who has a community who's engaged. Doesn't have to be 200,000 followers. They can have 1,000 followers, but their audience like listens and reads everything they do, right? So that when they say, hey guys, I just discovered this artist, Jennifer, what she does is amazing, and we're gonna do a contest together, and you need to go check her out. They're gonna be like, if she says she's good, then I'm gonna go and check her out, right? So really doing contests or partnerships for shootouts and things like that, looking at who their audience is and if it's a good fit. That's what I've seen artists who grow substantially. That's what's been really working for them.
Okay. Sounds
So it might be worth it to explore that option if you feel that the organic way hasn't really been working for you.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, think about that and think about also industries not necessarily related to arts,
Mhm.
right? So, like, depending on maybe if it's locally, what other businesses, right, locally could support you, or if there are influencers who are more like lifestyle influencers. I know an artist who's very into like Zen and yoga, so she's had, you know, influencers in the Zen, yoga, mindfulness field, you know, partner with her. So it doesn't have to be like art for art. Actually, it's going to help you if it's not art for art, because you're going to be like the person instead of amongst a bunch of other artists, right? Great. Yay. It takes a little more time, but the end result speaks for itself. So, okay, ladies. So I've covered my questions. Anything else? I'm happy to answer. Okay. Oh, you got a question. Oh, and I'm seeing there's somebody else here. Oh, Jack is here. I didn't know you were here. You were so silent. I didn't know you were here. So, ladies and gents, did you have a question? He's hiding. Did you have a question, Jack?
Hello?
Nope. Okay, so I'm going to unmute Melody. Yes.
Hello?
Oh, Jack, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, great.
Actually, I'm interested to know how you feel about about LinkedIn.
Yes.
I know we haven't talked about it as much, or maybe you did earlier. But how do you feel? Do you think it is appropriate for building your art business, or how does it fit into the
Okay. My thoughts on LinkedIn. Personally, I love LinkedIn for a few reasons. One, it's not as saturated as, let's say, Facebook or something like Twitter. Like, in my opinion, Twitter is like super saturated. People post, but nobody's reading what other people are posting, right? So that's a problem. Now it's about target audience. So if your goal is to sell art to corporate spaces, LinkedIn is a great place to do that, to share content. If you want to reach out and connect and build relationships with art consultants, right? It's a great place to do it. Designers, it's a great place to do it. It might not be a great place to sell direct, right? To get like people to know you on a direct. They're not necessarily in that mindset when they're going on LinkedIn, but there is a certain level of education, right, that comes with the people who are LinkedIn. With a certain level of education comes a certain level of income, right? So it can be very interesting to connect with these people, because these are, you know, when people tell me like, where do I find people who can afford to buy my work? Well, LinkedIn is one of them, right? Because people are, it is a professional network. So the way you're going to approach it is going to be much more around building professional relationships, sharing what your kind of service you can offer to maybe the corporate world or to art consultants, to designers. So we have to be very clear on who your audience is, what your messaging is, right? So, and the way you're going to communicate on LinkedIn is going to be much more like business oriented, whereas depending on what your brand is, right? If you're on Instagram, you can be a little more goofy and more like, yourself. Not that you can't be yourself on LinkedIn, but it's just a different kind of approach, and it's a different kind of audience that you will be reaching out to. But what's really great with LinkedIn is that you can do very targeted searches. So I use it with some clients as almost like a search engine, right? Because you can search with types of profession, you can search geographically, you can join very industry related groups, right? So you can learn about your target audience, what it is they're looking for, what they want. So it's like, let's say you want to enter the designer market, right? So now you can start learning, okay, who are the players in your area? Because with designers, you want to start locally before you branch out. So you can start knowing, okay, who are the key players? What are they sharing? What's important to them? What are the companies? And then you can start building a database, right? A CRM of who these people are, and then reach out, offer your services, build know, like, trust. And then you can even use, like, if you create content on your website, like blogs or videos, there's even now on LinkedIn a platform to share blogs, to share content on your profile, and then people can start following you. So if you want to start becoming an influencer on a certain key topic related to the arts, if you want to have conversations and start a dialogue on, art in the workplace, art in the hospitality or healthcare, then these are all great places to meet like-minded people. So absolutely, I think it's a good tool to connect with more business-oriented audiences, and also to use as a search engine to find key people that you could start talking to and connecting with. So, yeah.
Cool.
Anything else, Jack?
No.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah, Jennifer, follow-up question.
Yeah, I just thought of two questions. One relating to LinkedIn. I have a full-time job. So would you recommend having two LinkedIn accounts, one for my full-time, as a communications professional, and then one for art, or can I put it together?
That's a good question, and the answer would be no. I don't think so.
No, don't put them together. No, I can't have two.
I don't think you can have two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a challenge. It's not the first time that I have this conversation. Then you need to think about what it is that you want to put forth, right? So, like, in terms of communications, like, if you think that you need really to focus on that because maybe you're going to change jobs or you want to evolve in that sector, if you want to reach out to different people for your art and your main title is a communications person, it's going to be hard, right, to get that across. I don't even know if you can have two profiles, because then it might sound like, what's going on here? Like, the same photo, like it can look spammy. That's what would worry me, the spam part, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but you're not the first one to ask me that. I'm always scratching my head, and really my main message to you is, like, think about what it is that your next step is, and that's what you want to to be putting out there on LinkedIn, right?
So so it seems like I should think about it more in a couple of years when I want to make the transition from.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because it's like for many years I've helped people build resumes, and when I would get a resume, I say, don't write a resume that talks about where you're at now. Build a resume based on where you're going, right? Because people won't be making that, you don't want them to have to connect the dots. You have to do it for them. So the same way when you're going to make your LinkedIn profile evolve, make it evolve with what you want to be doing and not necessarily what you're doing at the moment.
Okay.
That's the clearest advice I can give on that question.
Awesome. And if I may, one more question, kind of, I think maybe more related to, because I do more Instagram, and I find that I'm like running, because I'm not able to produce a lot of work constantly. So I'm running out of ideas of what to post. Do you have any suggestions on?
Well, have you established themes?
I haven't been good about it. At the best, it's like, Motivational Monday, Throwback Thursday, and then.
But I don't necessarily mean that it has to be a theme, meaning that it has to be a specific day. But have you, instead of themes, have you identified buckets, like my art, my dog, my clients' love, things like that?
No, I pretty much have been doing all my art in one, whether it's a mock-up photo or sometimes I'll do boomerang or some type of video clip. Yeah.
Okay. So what you could do to help you stay on top of things is maybe identify buckets, right? Of themes or things that that are aligned with your brand. So the different types of posts that you're interested in doing. And then you just need to have brainstorming sessions, right? And maybe you have a specific notebook just for that. So when you're scrolling on your Instagram and you see someone who's doing something, you're like, this would be so cool on mine. Like, this worked so well. You go and you take note of it so that you can repurpose it. The other thing is once in a while, you go through your feed and you look at what worked, what got you a lot of engagement, and then say, okay, how can I replicate that success, right? So the boomerangs are getting me really a lot of engagement. So I need to make sure in my content calendar that I'm making at least once a week or 3 times a week those boomerangs, because they're working. So boom, 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 I'm putting them there. But I mean, inspiration doesn't just come. So you need to have a time, either every quarter, every month, where you're blocking out time in your calendar. Maybe it's an hour. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. You go to your favorite coffee shop and you're like, okay, I'm brainstorming ideas. I'm looking at what other people are doing, what successful artists I love are doing. I'm brainstorming and I'm doing my calendar, right? There's no magic recipe, but I can tell you that trying to figuring it out every day is the best way to not have a good idea. So it's really to put some time in. And also if you're just starting out, having that kind of mindset shift of, okay, I actually need to plan this stuff. The first few ones are going to be really hard and very boring. You're going to be this is taking forever. But once you have it going, then it's just going to be, you're going to take out your older calendar. You're going to say, okay, this worked, this didn't work, this didn't work, this worked. Okay, you're going to take your new calendar, okay, I'm doing 3 more of these, 4 more of these. What's she doing this week? Oh yeah, I need to do something like that. Okay, 3 of those, boom, bam, it's in. And it took you half an hour, right? But it's only by doing it on a consistent basis will you start seeing those results. Because the first few ones are going to maybe be a little more of a headache because you have to go back. What did I do? What's working? But once you start doing it, you'll see a difference, and you'll see that it's just you don't have to reinvent the wheel. When something's working, you're sticking to it. You're just doing more of it. Good. Okay, perfect. Okay, Melody had one more question. Go ahead.
Okay. Is it okay if it's kind of off topic?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I've done all 4 of your workshops, and I've really enjoyed them. And thank you. I feel like I've amassed all this amazing information, and I'm so glad.
Wonderful. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. But I actually talked to somebody as a mentor, kind of just had her look over my website and just a second. Okay. She suggested that I just do some more of the work on my theme, on different themes, as sort of like what you said. But I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Okay, that's okay. Take your time.
So basically, I just feel like I need to backtrack and do more art, and I mentioned that before too. And I feel like I've got a great arsenal for this to do, but I don't want to go too fast, and if I don't have the content that I need, artistically. So just have any other feedback on that?
I see that a lot. Okay.
Yep.
And on the lab, like sometimes when we do our strategic quarterly planning, like some artists will tell me like when I ask like what's the area of focus this quarter, right? And it's going to be, for some artists, it's business. And then we need to be more specific what business means. And sometimes it's just like, wait, I need to go back. I need to create more work. Sometimes artists come to me for business feedback, and I'm like, well, you need more work. Like before we can even start selling, you need more work, or you have work, but you're not. You need to just continue creating more work because you haven't really found your voice yet. Right. And that's really what's important, because if we want to start talking about branding and all these other tools that we're talking about in terms of marketing and selling, if you still haven't found your voice yet, then how do you know what your brand is? Like, you're not just going to invent it out of thin air, right? It's just like, you're not going to be happy. So absolutely, like, finding your voice, and it will only come by creating work. Now, caveat to that, it can also be an area of resistance, that because you're never going to be fully happy. Like, I don't know one artist who's like, I'm stopping it here because I've got this, like, I'm done. Like, no, you're always want to create more. You always want to create better. And when you're done, you're not satisfied and you want to do something else. So you just need to make sure that you're not using this as resistance. Like, I'll market myself when I'm ready, because we'll never really be ready. So you just need to get clear on what it is for you that it means to be ready, and establish that as a desired outcome so that you can move on to other things. I want to recommend the book, The Artist's Way, to you. Okay, so that's a really good book for your creative journey. And really there's really exercises, and she prompts you to really help you finding your voice. If you need to take a step back. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I need to take a step back, I need to create more, but you've already started building an audience, you're already like doing the visibility and doing some marketing, just make sure that you don't completely like black out from the world, right? That like people stop hearing from you completely, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to focus on art this quarter and then I'll sell the next quarter. That doesn't work that way. Like, you can't be completely MIA about it, because otherwise, like, people won't be like, hey, Melody, what's happening? We haven't heard from you. No, you're just out of sight, out of mind, right? So in that case, when you're creating your content calendar, it doesn't have to be oriented towards sales. You use it to build know, like, trust, right? So that way there's no pressure. And it's just about sharing your process, sharing your journey, right? That discovery that you're going towards, what it is that you're working on, right? Where it is that you want to take your art, right? And that people are fascinated by that, right? And they'll be excited because they'll follow you on that journey. And then when you have a body of work to reveal, they'll be as happy as you are about it, right? So just don't be completely MIA with your people while you're going through that process. But I think it's absolutely normal, and it's kind of a cycle. Like you're gonna have a breakthrough, then you're gonna be good for a while, and then you're gonna want to go back and spend like some time hidden in your studio. You're gonna have another breakthrough, then you're gonna be excited, then you're gonna be like, ugh, I need to go back. So it's part of the journey, and really to just trying to find that balance between creative and marketing. And when you're really, people ask me like, how much of my time should I be spending on marketing versus creating? Well, when you're ready to like kickstart things, it's going to be half and half. Okay. At the beginning, it's half and half. And I know nobody likes to hear that when I tell them, but it's half creating, half marketing. At some point, when you have the machine that's well oiled and you start selling, then you can start automating, you can start delegating. Then the art will start increasing again, and the business will start decreasing, right? But when you want to jumpstart it, it's going to be half and half. Does it help?
That's very helpful. Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, if you feel like you need to take a step back, do it. Check out The Artist's The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way is a really, really good book. Anyone who's and read it once, and then read it again, and change the word artist for the word entrepreneur, and you'll see that it works amazingly well for that too. Okay. Okay, I think I've covered everyone's questions, and we're on the dot. We're done. It's been an hour. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Yes,
Can I
Kathy,
ask one more question?
please go ahead.
Follow up to your question. While you're still exploring, follow up to Melody's question.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, you're trying to find a new style. What do you share with your audience? Do you share? Because when you're still trying to find a new style, you come up with work that's inconsistent because you're trying to find out what fits. Do you share all that as part of your?
Yes and no, I would say. I think you can share like what your journey is, but you need to be careful, okay? Because like I explained in another workshop, collectors or art buyers are very insecure, okay? So they can smell insecurity a mile away, right? So whatever you're sharing, you need to share it with confidence. If you're sharing something and you're not confident about it, don't share it, okay? Because you always have to ask yourself why. Why am I posting this, right? So are you posting it to get validation? Are you posting it to create excitement? Are you posting it because you want to sell it? Every time you post something or you're promoting or doing a marketing exercise, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like, what am I thinking that I'm going to get out of this? So if you're kind of like in a phase where you're not sure what you're doing and you're trying a bunch of different things, and 80% of what you're doing you will never do again because that's not what you want to do, then why are you talking about it? Like, why? Really? Like, if you can answer that question honestly, and you're like, I'm sharing it because it's important for me to people to understand the journey, or to understand, what goes into creating an artwork or whatever, then fine. And then your caption and your message will be clear because you know exactly why you're posting it, and the message is going to come across, in a way that you want it. You're controlling the message, and the people will receive it in the right way. If you're feeling insecure, you don't know, and you're posting it because you want validation, it's not going to serve you, right? It's not going to serve you. Create a mastermind, get an accountability partner, create a group of artists, sit down once a week, share your work, have open discussions about it. Do it there. Don't do it on social media. You know, when I said at the beginning, like, everybody's life is curated on social media, well, yours has to be too. So I'm not saying that you can't eventually like do a post about what insecurities an artist goes through, because I think a lot of non-artists will relate to a bunch of insecurities that you might have, right? That's fine. But always ask yourself, why am I doing this? What kind of reaction is that gonna create? And is that serving me? Or is it kind of hurting my brand and hurting my credibility? The why question is probably the question I ask the most often to myself, to my clients, to my kids. Like, why are you doing this to your sister? Why are you posting this on the internet? Like, I'm sure like you'll go on Instagram or you'll go on Facebook right after this call and you start scrolling, and 1 out of 2 posts, you're going to say, why did this person post this? Like, and if you don't know, then the message did not come across properly. So that post is zero impact. Okay? Good?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes,
You're
very
welcome.
good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for the classes.
Oh, thank you. Wow, you're so nice. Okay, so thanks everyone. Great having you during the program, and I'm sure we will talk soon.